Travel's an amazing thing, and I recommend everyone I know to travel as much as they can. But one not so amazing thing is getting scammed. So I thought I'd make a little video to share some of the scams that I've personally experienced and some tips for avoiding them. Alright, scam number one. This is a pretty obvious one, but I think it's worth talking about because it really sucks when it happens to you. Let's talk about pickpockets. So I got pickpocketed when I was in Mexico City. I was riding the metro with my girlfriend. Actually, I was about to enter onto the metro. And what happened was there were just several people behind us. And as the train doors opened, they all kind of started to push. And again, because I'm not from Mexico City, I thought, well, you know, different places are different. Maybe this is just, you know, people are in a rush to get on the train. So I didn't think too much of it. But what actually happened in that moment is several people were pushing me, and as that was happening, one of them reached into my pocket and stole my phone. I guess my tip for this one would be just be mindful of when there are groups of people behind you. Like, keep your hand on your phone or on your wallet. If possible, like if you have a backpack, just keep valuables on like inner pockets, not something that can be quickly unzipped and reached. You know, it kind of sucks to be paranoid and stuff like that, but when it does happen to you and you do lose a phone or a wallet in a foreign country, then you're really in trouble. So you definitely want to take precautions against pickpockets and scammers. Okay, scam number two. This is one I experienced in Paris, right outside the Eiffel Tower. To my knowledge, it's still happening there. I don't know why the French police haven't like stopped it, but this is a very common scam to find in Paris, and I think other cities in Europe have it as well. It's the deaf clipboard scam. You'll be approached by usually women who claim to be deaf. I have no proof whether they are actually deaf or not, but I've heard that many of them aren't even deaf. And they have a clipboard and they want you to make some small donation and just sign it. And I've heard two different variations of the scam. Number one is, again, there's always a group of people. So similar to the pickpocket situation, like as you're filling out this form, someone could be picking your pocket right behind you. Or the more common version is you get this form and you sign it and say, okay, I'll give, you know, €1 to this charity. And then afterwards they point out some like little message at the top or bottom that says minimum donation €15 or €20, and they try to pressure you into paying more and will get very angry and aggressive if you try to get away. Like, you got to think about it. If it's a legit charity, like there's no reason to be going after tourists at the Eiffel Tower. That's like the number one most touristy place. These are people who have just arrived in the country. They're using English clipboards because it's not a real French charity. It's just, you know, people taking advantage of tourists. All right, so scam number three, this one has to do with taxi drivers. Obviously, a lot of tourists take taxis. It's a very, very common scam for taxi drivers to try and take a long route or somehow overcharge you for that ride. If you're in a country like Thailand where you have to haggle the prices, they might give you some ridiculously high price, and because you just arrived, you don't know the local currency, you don't know what a fair price is, you're probably getting ripped off. In other countries, even if it is like the metered taxi, they will just take some long route and just find a way to charge you a bit of extra money. Personally, I've started taking Uber whenever possible just because, I mean, it's kind of showing you the GPS, and it's also, you know, the driver's rating and stuff like that. So if he does rip you off, you can give a 1-star rating, and there's some sort of system in place to protect them from scamming you too hard. But if you do want to take a taxi or you don't have Uber as an option, I would just advise you to skip over the very aggressive taxi drivers who try to meet you right at the airport gate. A lot of countries, like, people will come rushing out and say, where are you going? Where are you going? And try to almost like grab your bags and take you to their cab. Those guys are usually the ones who you want to be careful of. All right, scam number four. This is one that I really don't like to see. This is known as the fake monk scam. I first heard of this happening in Europe and places like Hong Kong. I think I even saw it happening here in Montreal earlier this summer. And basically it is someone who is a monk, or at least dressed like a monk, wearing a monk's robe. and they will be standing on the street, and usually they will have some little bracelet, like just a string bracelet, and they will smile and be polite and kind of start tying that around your wrist. The catch is once they have it on your wrist, they ask for money.
Do not give money, he's fake. Do not give money, he is fake. He is a fake monk. He's not a real monk.
$10 or $20 or whatever. And if you try to say no, it's kind of like they've already done the deed, and they will try to pressure you into giving money and saying, no, you need to give money. This is for goodwill. This is good luck. You need to give money. For a while, I didn't know if they were like fake monks or whatever, but I mean, my girlfriend Nari, she's from South Korea, and her culture, South Korea, is a very Buddhist country. There's lots of Buddhists. And her view on this is basically a real Buddhist would never ask for money in that way. Like if a real Buddhist did need money, they might, ask for food. They might ask for like food so they can eat. But Buddhists are not going around just grabbing people and putting string on their wrists and asking for money. Like that's completely against the principles of what they're supposed to believe in. Nothing against like Buddhism or whatever. It's just unfortunate that people have taken, a religion and used it as part of their scam. By the way, I hope you enjoy this style of video of me just wandering around the streets of Montreal. It's a beautiful day, and I thought this would be more interesting than me just sitting in my bedroom talking to you, so yeah. And finally, the last scam. This is a bit of a trickier one to talk about, but this is something that happened to me a lot in Morocco, and I'm gonna call it like the fake guide scam, or maybe the fake friend scam. And it's a situation where you arrive in a new city, and right away you have a local person who is being very friendly to you. Maybe they see you on your way out of the hotel or on the way into the city, and they know that you're a tourist. They know that you're someone who has just arrived, and they start asking you all these questions. Where are you from? What are you doing? How long are you here for? And if you're a person like me, like you like to meet local people, you're cool with making friends, and you start to talk with them, and next thing you know, they're offering to show you restaurants and show you like cool things to do. And you never really asked for a guide, but next thing you know, they're kind of guiding you around the city. And in that situation, you have a couple of options. You can be very firm and say, no, I just want to do this on my own, and I walk a lonely road. Most of the time they will listen and go away. But if you don't firmly say no, next thing you know, they are kind of like going with you, and you are in some sense stuck with their guide, with their tour guide. This happened to me in a city called Fez in the north of Morocco. And this guy, he was being really cool. He took me to this restaurant and stuff, told me interesting facts about Morocco. And then next thing you know, after lunch, he says, oh, I have these friends who have this carpet shop, because Morocco is very famous for these big carpets. Next thing you know, you're sitting there in this carpet shop, and there's like 2 or 3 other guys, and they're showing you the carpets and stuff. And then suddenly the guide, the guy who brought me to the carpet shop was gone. And suddenly I'm there in this upstairs room with 3 people trying to sell me carpets, and they were not as friendly as the first guy. In the back of my mind, I thought, like, am I gonna get robbed? And I was in the upstairs floor of this carpet shop, and I just remember feeling like very uneasy about the situation. And finally, I almost felt guilty to say that I'm leaving, but I just had to say, like, no, I gotta go. And I just kind of did a 180 out of that room and went down to the street. And I remember they were looking at me like, what's this guy doing? Where's he going? It's very funny because you almost feel guilty for what you've done. But then a couple minutes later, I realized I didn't do anything. They were the ones who were trying to pressure me into this situation that I never asked to be in. So basically the scam is like fake friendship. And I know it sounds mean to say that, because sometimes it's hard to tell when people are being your friend, if they're real friends or if they're fake friends. But I think if at the end of the day they're being nice to you for a few hours, but there is like a destination where you're expected to pay a lot of money for something, it's pretty fair to say that they were being fake friends. despite everything I've said today, don't have the closed mind that everyone is trying to scam you. Because if you think that way, unfortunately, you're going to miss some pretty awesome opportunities, because there are nice people out there who are just trying to show you their city or show you their country, and they're not trying to scam you. But I hope this video has helped some of you to learn from my mistakes so you don't have to go through what I went through. Yeah, let me know if there are any other scams that I forgot to list. And yeah, as always guys, I'm Dan from The New Travel. I'll see you next time.